This is genuinely like the worst part of any horror game that I've ever played. So bad that I had no content to make a normal playthrough video. And now you're probably asking yourself, why is this level like that? And more importantly to you, why should I care? And I plan on answering both of these questions. So let's start with... I'm gonna say it straight up. The monsters aren't scary. I mean, look at them. And they come out of a damn clown car? Bruh. And there's no way that Glowstick actually released this. And thought it was scary. However, it's not just the designs that are bad. There's also this. Do you see the issue here? There are no enemies in sight. I have no clue if this was just a bug or if it's how the game is supposed to be, but I was walking around for about 10 minutes and 0 enemies surrounded me. And when they did show up, it was either in swarms that I couldn't protect myself against and I just end up dying, or they were too stupid to even see me. Seriously, there were multiple times where I was just walking behind them and they never even noticed. And if one did see me, and I mean only one, I could just outrun it without even using a power-up as long as I wasn't pinned from all sides. There's also a section where you have to walk around on a track and hide whenever a cart comes past, which is a cool idea, but the execution of it is awful. On this full track that goes around the entire map, by the way, there is only a singular cart that shows up, and you can just easily run past it. And after beating this section, like every other level, Malik just randomly shows up for no reason, but now he's got to do it twice. Now, this wouldn't be so bad if the other enemies were also in the level, like in all the other ones. But in this level, for some reason, the clowns all disappear when Malik appears. And don't even get me started on the stupid boss fight. Oh my god. The only interesting thing about it is the fact that you can actually fight back against the clowns. But the bosses are just larger versions of the tiny clowns, and it just ends up feeling lazy. In fact, it's not even the first time you see these models. You see these guys when you're about to enter the second section of the level on the cart ride, which was also horrible, but I'll get more into that when I talk about the... Not only was this level too long, it was also too boring. To start, the player walks through the carnival with nothing too interesting going on, which is fine, because that can just be determined as a good build-up. However, this suspense then gets wasted on a little tent with a carnival game in it. And again, this could be fine since that build-up comes right back after playing the game and getting trapped inside of a cage, but then gets ruined once again when these little shits show up. And after they do, the player then uses an ability that they already got a tutorial for to break out of said cage. This also kills the clowns on the outside, which could have been used to add like an interesting chase into the portal to the next part, but no. Since they die, you just continue into the first section, which leads me to one of my big issues. This level does not need multiple areas. The first level has only 60 shards, which are spread out over 2 different stories, which you have to traverse using portals. This could be cool, but the shards are so far apart that this section takes the same amount of time as an entire normal level would, which again could be excused if it weren't for the shitty enemies. So this part just becomes a walking simulator. Also, a kind of small thing, but you just can't teleport from platform to platform if there's a gap in between, which is just stupid. I don't know why you wouldn't include walls if you can't teleport in between the gaps. But eventually, the player beats the section, and so let's just go to the next one. We get to this little carousel thing, which I actually did enjoy because there's this little clown that comes out of nowhere and he just chases you around. I had no clue what to do when I got in there, and I was kind of freaking out because of that, but after the clown disappeared, it was all fine. We then get to a roller coaster ride, which was made very, very poorly. Let's start out with the fact that the camera doesn't turn when the cart turns, which made it super janky to ride. Also, there was absolutely no need for this other than to increase the playtime of this level. The only mildly important thing it shows you are the big clowns, which are the future bosses, but I didn't even notice that they were the same on my first playthrough until I watched back the recording. Now in this part, I will say there were some really cool visuals, but I would have rather had them in the actual level and not during a cutscene. So the player gets off of the coaster and gets to the next section, which I have the most issues with. First off, like I mentioned earlier, the outside is super boring, and I got through the entire loop with only seeing the cart that goes around the track once, and no other enemies can go on that track. Also, the design of this hall is super boring. It's just lines. The entire hall. There's nothing to look at. It's just boring. After that, I proceeded to get almost 100 shards without any major interaction with the enemies. So I ended up noticing something kind of annoying. For a level that is so large, they really felt the need to repeat a lot of these rooms, which didn't make it feel trippy, it just made the level more annoying. There were a few cool ones, like this mirror maze and these cannon rooms, but that's about it. Another annoying thing are these portals. They lead to yet another separate part of the level, but in these, you just walk through and collect shards without any enemies. However, the enemies in the original level are still aware of where you are and will chase you to where you would be in the original level. It's kind of hard to explain, so here's a diagram that I made to kind of show you what I mean. And after getting out of these little portal sections, I had multiple issues with either no enemies at all, or enemies grouping up in areas that I needed to get shards from to continue the level. And I tried to bait them out, but they would never follow you. After I got the last shards, Malik showed up for the first time, and I easily baited him to get into the next section, since again, like I said earlier, there are no other enemies. In this part, the player is back at the carousel thing I mentioned earlier, but now we have 2 clowns. This part, again, is actually pretty good. It spooked me, since I thought that I wouldn't be able to outrun the little guys since I could cut corners. And I couldn't. That's going to be important later. But thankfully, in this section, I didn't die. Now, after getting out of there, it's all downhill again. So that means it's time for the boss fight. Like I said earlier, the only interesting thing about it is the fact that you can fight back, but it just feels lazy. To start, I accidentally glitched out the boss fight arena by teleporting past the exit gate. Now, I teleported right back when the fight actually started, but it made for a really awkward transition to the cutscene, which I also hated. I don't know why, and this is a big problem with me in this entire game, not just this level, but Malik isn't scary, he's just annoying. He shows up and starts talking so damn much like a nerd that I wasn't scared, I just wanted to shove him into a locker. So this dweeb finishes his monologue, and you get to the boss fight, which sucked. I think it tried to copy the idea from the Dread Duckies level, but just fails miserably. What it is a bunch of enemies follow you around while you have to bait the big bad guys into trying to attack you. Sounds familiar? However, this one is worse because after one hit, the big guy dies, and it's not hard to bait them at all. The reason for this, in my opinion, was the big carousel in the middle. Do you remember how I said earlier that in that little room that I also called the carousel, it was scary because they could cut through the middle and easily get to me? Well, this section just completely disregards that. There's a big ass carousel in the middle that the clowns can't run past. And if it wasn't there, the clowns could actually chase you easier, and it would probably make them an actual threat. Now, after killing all of the giants, the second chase with Malik begins, which is so underwhelming that I went to where I was supposed to go, got confused, and turned the complete opposite direction and ran all the way back to the carousel, then ran back and was still able to outrun him. Also, unlike all the other levels, there isn't even an attempt at any kind of jump scare while you run out. Just boring silence. Which is really weird because for the entirety of the level, it was way too loud and there's no way to change it in the settings, which is another problem that I've had with this entire game. Now, what I will say is that it wasn't all terrible. There were a few. To start out, the level did have some really cool designs. Like, I thought the first area looked super cool and had some fun looking traps. Now, there are some choices that I don't like, but I can get past most of them, except the repetitiveness of the second area. I still hated that so much. Also, the soundtrack was absolutely banging. Like, I'm unironically adding this to my Spotify later. I loved it so much. Also, from what I've seen, this is the only level like this. The other levels seem to have much more to do and are much scarier. And I can definitely say, for all the levels that I've already played, they are terrifying. But now, you're probably asking yourself, well, the reason why this matters is because of this, the Dark Deception full release. If you didn't know, Dark Deception's final chapter has been rumored to be releasing sometime this year, which is also the reason why I decided to play through this game. Now, with this final version, they've already shown updated graphics for all the chapters before, as well as some new level designs, which could be our saving grace. Now, I'll be honest, even if Glowstick Entertainment somehow saw this video, they most likely would not be able to fix these issues. But it does show what to look out for with this entire release. Also, another weird thing to point out that I'm pissed off by is that I'm tired of Glowstick doing random ass collabs with a bunch of different games, for example, Fortnite and Roblox, and not just working on the final chapter. When the fourth chapter, the one that came out before this, was released all the way back in 2021, over 4 years ago. Mind you, the first chapter for this series came out in 2018, so it took them the same amount of time to create one chapter as it took them to create 4 of them. And I am aware that each chapter has progressively gotten longer and that they are also doing the previous chapters, but they've now got more funding from selling this game to consumers like myself, and part of me has a slight feeling that they might end up charging extra money for this upgraded version of the game. Maybe that's just how other studios have been treating the customers lately, but I feel like I might be right here. But I mean, after all that's said and done, I really just want to end on... I love Dark Deception. I loved all the chapters I've played before this one, and I loved watching other YouTubers play through Dark Deception. It's why I chose to upload videos about this game, which you should totally check out, by the way. But this level just felt like such a slap in the face. Maybe it was not uploading a video on this game for so long, but this felt like a total 180 from what I had previously played. And that prompted me to make this video about it. And I do know that it's very different from what I usually post, but I just really felt like I had to say something about it. And that's my entire rant. If you did enjoy, I'd appreciate a like, sub, comment if you agree with me. If you don't, I'd love to hear your reasoning why you think this is a good level, but I genuinely think this is the worst one that I've played so far. And, yeah, peace out, Girl Scouts.